Hey everybody, Urban Brady here with HorrOrigins. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today's interview is with the one and only Antoine, who I've known for several years now. Very talented director. I've seen a few of your movies, Antoine, so thank you so much for being with us today.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on.
And it is May, so we know it is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I know I butchered that phrase, but my fellow Asian American, thank you so much for joining us. And we always love connecting with artists, fellow creatives. So it's great to connect with you after so many years. First off, the most general question ever, which I'm sure you get a lot. I would love to know how you got started, because for the longest time that I've known you, I don't know your backstory into filmmaking. So I'd love to get to know you as a director. How did you get into filmmaking? Was it a first choice, or was it something that came in your lap, or how did it come about for you?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I had to adjust my camera real quick.
No worries.
But yeah, so I actually wanted to be a filmmaker ever since college. Back at UC Davis, I always wanted to be a filmmaker. And although I never majored in it, I majored in finance and everything else. And started a movie club back in Davis. And that was one of my passions. It's always been my passion. But I also understand that if you're a filmmaker, you're looking to really be starving for the next decade or so. That's just how the industry works, right?
I'm 8 years in. I know, I get it.
Yeah. And because of that, I really couldn't do it because obviously I had family support and all of that too. And of course, being Asian, how it is with the Asian culture is that you wanted to support your parents, you can't. Right. So that's why I didn't really focus on films after college. I just went to to be a financial advisor, which is what my area of expertise was. That's exactly what I was doing for the past decade while still saving, and putting that passion on the back burner. So in the meantime, I still would make short films here and there, just to keep my skill set fresh in a way. And in 2016, I decided that that I'd accomplished a lot of things that I wanted to do in life, which is like get married, get myself finance a situation, I've been situated and everything else, and I was ready to embark on my first feature. And obviously, I'm still new. I was still new at it, so I needed to do something that is small, manageable, and that's how Follow came about.
There you
that's
go.
How I got quote unquote my start. And I just gathered, friends and people who've been, that I worked with back in college and all that. Yeah. That's how we got it.
There you go. And we are doing an interview for Origins, so I'd love to know your path into horror specifically. I've seen, like I said, I've seen a few of your works, so I'd love to know about the horror side of Antoine. What inspires you there?
Funny thing is though that I never set out to be a horror director. To be honest, I love horror films. I've always liked, I enjoy horror film, but I never thought of myself as, as a director for horror films. Just because, I like things that are, I guess, I like lighter stuff. I like movies that have great endings and good endings, happy endings, and whatnot. And that horror genre usually just come with that. But on the same token, is that starting out new, you got to do something that is commercially viable in a sense, right? And I'd always liked horror anyway, and in the sense that one of the first film that I wanted to make was a serious movie about the Holocaust, and that movie would have cost like 25 million to make, and no one would give me 25 million. Someone that has had zero track record,
right,
has not even film school or anything like that, and tackling such a subject matter as well. So the reason why I chose horror, because I wanted to prove that, hey, even in a genre that I am not essentially supposedly good at, right, I could still make a movie out of it. Right. So that was more of a challenge to me as well as an investor, just to show that, hey, no matter what the genre, I could still bring something to the table.
There you go.
And that's how I came about. And of course, after I made that, I started to fall in love with horror. So although I still wouldn't consider myself as a horror director, but in general, I would just consider myself a film director more than anything. But yeah, I love horror, and and I could continue to work more and more, and as well as others.
Now, what keeps you up at night? What's that bump in the night that, as a filmmaker, you want people to feel? What because some people get scared with like the crack in the creak in the tile. That's like that. Just that one small thing can
Right.
kick you out. Some people fear aliens. Like, what's that thing for you that, as a filmmaker, you want to convey?
Um, the film I think that scared me the most is The Ring, as well as the original Ringo, right? And to me, there's something about ghosts that you can't see, or ghosts, that had to do with girls with the long hair. With long hair, it just scares the crap out of me. Like, and I think a lot of the time it's all about your imagination as well. Like when you're just laying in bed and then you just look at, say, your coat hanger, for example, right? And it seems like a person. And to me, I think, your mind playing tricks on you. I think those are the things that scare me the most. Things that, I know that other things like aliens, the devil, or whatnot, those
Yeah.
that scare others, they really don't scare me at all. In fact, is it something that if I can feel, if I can touch, I'm not scared of, right? But it's something that I'm not able to see, or you see in the corner of my eyes. Those are the different things that would scare me. So in other words, I think it's more psychological more than
Yeah.
anything. So that is something that I would try to convey in my film.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's great because I think long gone are the days of jump scares where like, oh, we can sell a movie on jump scares. It's more like, how can we creep up on you psychologically,
Right, 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 right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And so what are you working on now? Whether it's horror or not, I'm curious what you're, we've
So
obviously been through quite a year. So
right.
what have you been able to accomplish in that year in 2020?
Yeah,
What are you
so
working on now?
during the pandemic, it's we're just doing a lot of talking, conceptualizing the ideas and whatnot, and I'm working on two projects right now. Actually, more than two. One is something that we just announced about a couple of weeks ago, where we haven't officially made the announcement yet, but we are working on a somewhat of a sequel to Followed. Which is we're
Here we
working on
go.
an anthology. Um, an anthology film that takes place in the Fallen universe, which I'll be in charge of producing, as well as directing a small segment out of it. Right. So that's one thing I'm doing. And the second, the second movie, which is the bigger movie, is an action slash drama. Um, think of that as Kill Bill meets Lost in Translation, right?
Interesting.
So
Okay.
yeah, very interesting, right? Like Kill Bill meets Lost in Translation. That's all I can describe it, and that's something that we're in pre-production on. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to shoot early 2022.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but that's the bigger project. That is more, of the project that it would have, A-listers and all that. So we are still in pre-production on that. And then
Hey.
thirdly, what I'm doing is I'm working on creating a slate of films for my production company. And so those are the three things that I've been working with first.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Looks like you've been staying busy despite the pandemic.
Yes, of course, of
Yeah.
course. Staying busy, and of course, I got kids at home too. So
Yeah.
never a dull moment. Sure.
Now, whether it's just as a filmmaker in general, whether it is being an Asian American filmmaker, whatever it may be, what would your mission statement be as an artist, if you have one? What's that thing you want to accomplish before the curtain call for you?
Yeah. So to me, is that it's about leaving a legacy and leaving not only just for myself, but for, I guess, generations to come. What I mean is that great films can change people's lives, right? There's one example of a documentary. It's funny enough because I'm not a big fan of documentary, but I could tell you that there's plenty of documentaries ever since been released that have stopped
Yeah.
wars, have create a lot of results for social issues and things like that, right? So to me, that a great movie can last for forever. Like hundreds of years from now, people would still know who, I guess, Akira Kurosawa was. People would still revere E.T. and Jurassic Park. So those are the movies that would last, generations upon generations. Movies like Schindler's List will always ingrain in people's hearts and minds for generations to come. And I think that is the sort of work that I aspire to do, which is which is something that would be, that would be universal, that would remind people of, of the good in humanity. And it transcends time and space and everything, right? So it's not just for me, but is something that I like to put out to the universe. That's always been my goal.
I must say that has to be literally the best answer I've heard when I asked that question.
Oh, I
So kudos to you, Antoine. Kudos to you. Before we
Thank
go, where can folks find you on social media or online? Do you have an official site? Do you have social media pages, Twitter, Instagram?
Yeah, I mean, I'm slowly getting into it. I only got into the whole Twitter and Instagram because of my movie out, and and I was told that I should have those things. So anyway, I'm on Facebook as well. Facebook is just Lionheart321, or just my name. Instagram, I think it's the same too. It's Lionheart321, just my name, and Twitter is Antoine Lee or Antoine Lee 16. I think.
There you have it.
But yes, but you can always, just type in my name there.
There you go.
I'm not, as you can tell, I'm not really active on that. I do post occasionally here and there, but I think that's one of the things that I need to be more active about. But
the occasional food picture, right? Is that what you're?
Yeah. Right.
Antoine, such a pleasure to reconnect with you, sir. Always good to talk to you. Everyone, please check out HorrOrigins.com and HorrOrigins on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you so much, Antoine.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. You too. I know.